Hello, welcome to my Tuesday live stream. Welcome to the Divine Femme YouTube channel. My name is Julie Sasha Cloutier, and I am going to be having a conversation with all of you. So if you are joining me live, please feel free to say hello in the comments. And if you're catching the replay, please let me know so that I can say hello back. Now, if you're new to my world, I am a soul purpose coach, energetics coach, and what I love to do is to coach, support, guide women into their soul purpose. There are far too many women. I actually went through this website and I saw that there were 2/3 of people today, right now, who are burnt out, who are unfulfilled with their job. That blew my mind. That 2/3 of people. And I know that within this 2/3, there are many, many women that are part of that 2/3, that statistic. And that doesn't sit well with me. And I wanted to talk to you all about this number one challenge that I went through myself and that I see women go through. This number one challenge that's stopping them, that's stopping you from experiencing your soul purpose, from thriving in your soul purpose. Okay, I wanted to have this deep conversation. Now, as women, we came here to do extraordinary things. We chose to come in this incredible time in history to create a ripple effect, to offer our own brand of magic, to share it with everybody. I'm always saying, as a numerologist, I'm always saying that you were born on that specific day for a reason. There are no coincidences. There are no accidents. There's a reason why you showed up on that specific day. It is because you needed a certain electromagnetic frequency to come into this physical realm and experience whatever it is that your soul had decided to experience. See, we all have this soul contract, right? It's like this soul blueprint. And we came here to experience certain aspects of it so that when we go back to source, we are that much more evolved. That is one of the main reasons why we lift our hand up to experience the physical realm. It's to evolve, right? And so in order for us to evolve, we need to go through the ebbs and flows of life. We need to go through some challenges. We need to learn some pretty important life lessons, because if not, then what's the purpose? What's the use of coming here if we're not going to be sharing, if we're not going to be learning, if we're not going to be experiencing the dualities of this planet? Okay, so I wanted to talk to you all about this number one challenge. Before I dive into that, I know that you have a desire. We all do. We have this soul calling within us, right? There's this thing. There's this thing that just doesn't want to go away. As much as we try to ignore it, as much as we try to convince ourselves that we are happy, that we are fulfilled with either our job or maybe you decide to stay home, right? To be a stay-at-home mother and raise your children. I experienced both, right? I was in a high corporate job, and then I decided to let that go, to exit what I call the corporate cage, and to stay at home with my children, okay? And in both instances, I was unfulfilled. So maybe this resonates with you as well, whether you have a very good paying job with the benefits, with the vacation time, with the great hours, on paper, it looks good. Or maybe you're at home raising your child or your children, or maybe you're an empty nester, right? And so you're at home and you can stay in your pajamas all day if you want, you can do whatever it is that you feel like doing, and still you feel unfulfilled. So these two scenarios were my reality. And like I said, in both scenarios, I found myself desiring more, wanting more. I had these dreams. I had this dream of creating transformation, deep impact. I had this dream of standing up on stage and just sharing my message and touching people to the core with my message and really empowering women and helping them navigate through the dualities of life, helping them to discover, to remember their soul purpose and to align to it, to start actually experiencing it, right? I have this vision where it's like millions of women who are just circling, holding hands, right? Holding hands and holding space at the same time and creating this massive, massive ripple effect because they're sharing their soul gifts to the world, right? It's like this whole revolution that goes into my mind, but it's not a revolution so much that is an evolution. That's my grand vision, right? It's to lift the veil between the woman and her purpose. Because sometimes that veil feels like a big brick wall. And that's the number one challenge right there, right? It's like this big, thick brick wall where you can't even see through it. It's like, you know that there's something more on the other side of that wall. Can't seem to get to it. You can't seem to break through it. You can't seem to climb over it, to go around it. There's the challenge. There lies the difficulty, right? And I see far too many women who are just settling, who are convincing themselves that they're happy, who are convincing themselves that they're fulfilled, who are saying, it is what it is. It is what it is. And they're trying to just get through life. And I get it. I was there. But here's the thing. This niggle that you have, this inner niggle that you have within you, it won't go anywhere. It won't go anywhere. It'll stay there. It'll just keep waking you up at night or keep you up at night. Or it'll remind you every time you see another woman experiencing the thing or the life experience that you wish you could experience. It's going to wake up, right? It's like that little, I don't want to call it a gremlin, but it's like that flame just becomes bigger, right? When you see a woman just experiencing something and you're like, oh, I wish. That's your soul trying to light up that fire even more, right? To fan the flame so that you can remember that you came here to experience something like that. Because here's the thing, you wouldn't envy that woman, right? You wouldn't wish upon a star to experience what she's experiencing if it didn't resonate with your soul blueprint, your soul contract, because you made a promise to yourself when you decided to incarnate into this lifetime. And so now it's time to honor that soul purpose, right? So we're all going through this mass awakening. I don't know about you, but mine has been going on for a long time now, but specifically in 2012. And when you look at the date and you look at the universal year energy, it was a universal year 5, which is all about change. It's all about liberation. It's all about adventure, exploration, right? That was the universal energy that was impacting, that was influencing everybody as a collective. Okay. And what's really interesting is that if I look at my own personal year cycle, now, if you want to know what personal year cycle you're in, all you have to do is add the day and the month, right, of when you were born to the universal year. Okay, so I'll give you an example for me. So I'm born on March 13th, so 3 + 1 + 3, and then you add the digits of the universal year, so it's 222. So 2 + 2 + 2. So I'm in a personal year 4, because when you add everything up, it ends up being a 13. And then you have to reduce the 13 to 1 digit. So 1 + 3 is 4. Now, if you landed on a personal, not a personal cycle, but a number 11, 22, or 33, those are master numbers, okay? And you don't reduce those. Now, if you want to learn more about personal year cycles, I invite you to go and check out my IG account. In my highlights under personal year number, you will see that I created stories a few days ago, and I go from 1 to 9, right? What they all mean. I give you like the tip of the iceberg. And then there's another highlight where it's the master numbers. And tomorrow I'm actually going to be sharing the personal year cycle 22. So I did 11 yesterday, and tomorrow is going to be 22. So take a look at those and see where you're at. Okay. So if I look back on 2012, okay, and I do the calculation for my personal year, right? So it'd be 3 plus 1 plus 3, so that's 7. And then plus 5, again, I was in a personal year 3. Okay, I was in a personal year 3. And a personal year 3 is all about self-expression. It's about asking yourself, what makes me happy? So it made sense that in my own personal year 3, during a universal year 5, I started my awakening at lightning speed. It happened very, very quickly. Okay, like it was very intense. And that's when I was invited to a closed initiate school for mystics and sages. And I took the deepest dive in the metaphysical world. I really did. I peeled back so many layers. I healed so many aspects of myself, and I learned so much about healing. At the same time, I also was introduced to numerology. Now, I knew about numerology before that, but I started studying it within this training, this intensive training, and then I fell in love with it. And that was over a decade ago. And today I am still using this incredible ancient teaching to help guide women. I use it for myself. I use it for my family. I use it for my clients, and my students use it for themselves. I mean, it is such an incredible compass. It's like a soul awakening. Okay. So all that to say that we are going through a huge mass awakening. And some of you might be at a job right now where it used to tickle your fancy. It used to make you feel fulfilled, but now not so much. Now you are dreading Monday mornings. You're counting the days until the weekend. You know what I mean? It's like you're counting the days until your next holiday. It's like it just doesn't do it for you anymore. You feel like you can be, do, and have more. And I'm here to tell you that this is normal. You're not going crazy. It is because there is something for you to do. There is something for you to experience and to have and to be. Okay, this is called soul awakening. And in numerology, we have these 3 major life cycles. And it's usually in our second life cycle, which is like usually when we're in our 30s to like our late 40s. That's when our destiny number comes in. It takes front stage. It starts taking more room. Its energy starts amplifying, and your destiny number is your who. That's your zone of genius, your highest potential. Who did you come here to be? So it's only normal, it's only logical that in your mid 30s to like your late 40s, you're like scratching your head saying, this is just not going to do anymore. I'm just not happy. I need to change. There's something. It's just, I have to. There's something going on here. So it's not a midlife crisis. It's an awakening. I just want you to know that it's an awakening. I went through the same thing. I went from child psychology, right? I was like over 15 years in child psychology, and I completely switched to a soul, purpose, and energetics coach and numerology teacher, mentor, right? It's like crazy, full 180. Okay. So if this is you, I want you to just take a deep breath and say, okay, yeah, this is normal. It's because I'm evolving. We're meant to evolve. We're not meant to stay stagnant. We're not meant to have the same job for 30, 40 years. I mean, that's the matrix. That's 3D, right? We're all ascending. We're all moving into the 5th dimension, which is a complete different way of being, of experiencing life. It's not so linear. There's so much flow to it, so much intuition and creativity. Okay, it's kind of need to loosen up a bit. So I wanted to talk about this number one challenge that is most likely stopping you from thriving in your soul purpose. And I know that for myself, this was it. And for 99% of my clients, it's the same thing. And that is guilt. Guilt. Thought maybe I was going to say something else, but it's guilt. As women, and I'm going to go there, okay? We've been born and raised in a society where systems have been created to have the masculine, and I'm talking about the wounded masculine here, the wounded masculine, having the wounded masculine rule, okay? So much that as women, we have actually suppressed our divine feminine essence in order to fit in. So I've seen, and I've worked, and I've seen and coached many, many women who have dimmed down their divine feminine powers, their intuition, their creativity, their flow, right? Their connection, their ability to receive. They've suppressed all of that in order to fit into this masculine type of energy. And again, I'm not talking about the divine masculine, because that's a whole other thing. I'm talking about the wounded masculine, where it's very authoritative, it's very condescending, it's very linear, it's very doing all the time. It's overextending. Okay, very dictatorship type of energy. So we've been born and raised in this type of society where, on top of that, the systems, the way that they've been built, actually encourage us to fall in line and to settle and to play small. As long as we walk in a straight line, we are not disturbing the peace, and we are actually helping the systems continue to thrive. The energetic flip side of that is that we're not thriving. There are more and more women who are feeling depleted, burnt out, unfulfilled, frustrated, lost, confused. So many. There are so many. At the same time, I can say that I'm starting to see more and more women, though, stepping into their power, claiming it back, and wanting to create that impact that they know that they came here to do. So this guilt stems from an ancestral wound, right? This goes back generations. And it's this guilt of desiring, of wanting to have more. So if I go back to my story, my personal story, which maybe resonates with yours, when I was in a corporate setting and I had this incredible job, I even had my own bathroom. I had my own bathroom in my office. Okay. So, it was a nice job. And like I said, on paper, it looked wonderful. It looked wonderful. The pay was great. Salary is perfect. I had all the benefits. I had all the vacation time, personal bathroom. I got to wear the nice clothing and the jewelry and whatever. But I was miserable. And I would find myself feeling guilty for wanting something else, more. Guilty because so many people, and I didn't dare to even talk about it to anybody at first, because I knew that many people would say, well, what are you saying? What are you doing? You have like the perfect job. So many women would love to have what you're having. I would not complain if I were you. So I didn't talk about it for the longest time. And I would suppress it and pretend and convince myself, until one morning, as I am preparing breakfast and everything was Speedy Gonzalez mode. I had the two kids. One was going to the daycare, the other was going to school, and I had to go to work, and there was a meeting. And my oldest one, who was about 6 at the time, said to me, "Why are you always angry? You're always so angry. And it just stopped me dead in my tracks because the way he said it, I mean, he was just peering into my soul. He is a Divine Life Path 20, so he has that ability. And I remember I didn't say much, but it hit me, like it hit me right here. And so I went upstairs and continued to get ready. And have you ever tried to put on mascara and eyeliner as you're crying? It's not possible. But I did my best because I was crying nonstop because I knew. I knew that I had been living a lie. I knew that I was, fooling myself into believing that I was fulfilled. I wasn't. So I had to have that conversation with my husband. We actually had planned to go off on a vacation to Jamaica. And it was during, that time that we sat down, we started talking, and he knew. He was just waiting for me to talk about it, but he knew that I wasn't happy anymore. And so we had a conversation, and we were able to make certain decisions to make it work. And I was able to leave the corporate cage. And so the guilt for months and months and months, I was just pretending that it wasn't there. And I ended up in a burnout. That's why we were going to Jamaica, because I just couldn't handle anymore. I had gotten very sick. I wound up in the emergency room a couple of times. It was ridiculous. I had never had health issues before. And there I was in the emergency room twice within 3 months. It just didn't make sense. I knew something had to change. So there's a great example of what happens when you suppress your soul purpose, your desire, your deepest desire. Is like after a while, the universe is going to take care of it. If you cannot honor your soul contract, the universe will do it for you. And when the universe decides to step in and do it, it is not as nice. It is not as simple as if you would have done it yourself, right? So I went through some tough times, but after the burnout, that was it. I had to exit the corporate cage. So this guilt comes from an ancestral wound. And in numerology, I can find out what ancestral wounds you have. Did you know that? We can do a lot of healing through numerology as well. It's not just about discovering your soul gifts and your soul purpose and your life themes, which is really exciting, but it's much more than that. With my coaching clients, we take a deep, deep dive into the depths of their being, and we peel back the layers. And I go as deep and as far as they allow me to go. Okay. And because we're all here on this soul ascension, right? It's like, it's all it is. It's an upward spiral. And so the healing never really stops. It just changes. It changes. Of course, it's like the spring cleaning. Right now we're in spring. So it's like, when you finally decide, okay, I think I'm going to start doing some spring cleaning. Of course, there's like that huge, deep scrubbing the floors, packing things up, throwing things out type of cleaning, which just happens to be this month's energy. Okay. The universal month energy of March is the number 9. It's all about letting go. It's about releasing. It's about taking inventory and throwing whatever it is that is no longer serving you away. Okay. So that's what it's all about. So it's like you're doing this really deep spring cleaning at the beginning. But once you've done that deep cleaning, after that, it's more like surface work, right? It's more like surface work. There might be maybe a couple of corners you forgot, and you have to put a bit more time and energy in that. But it is not going to be as deep as it was the first time around. And that's what happens with healing. Of course, at first, when you open Pandora's box, there's a lot of things that need to be dealt with, seen, felt, released, healed, alchemized. And then after that, it just becomes more manageable. It becomes like a flow. It's almost like, okay, yeah, I know myself. This is what's coming up. I see it. Let's feel it. Okay, let's transmute it. Good to go. Next. So it's no longer like a huge boulder, right? Like you're driving down the street and all of a sudden there's this like huge boulder and you don't know what to do. It's like, and it's so difficult to get around it. It's more like a speed bump. Okay, so if you want to get a little visual, it's more like a speed bump. So this guilt stems from conditioning. And it's a mix. It's a mix of, your ancestral line, the lineage, absolutely. If you look at what our mothers and our grandmothers and our great grandmothers went through, you can see that there's a lot of guilt and a lot of shame for wanting more and desiring more. And a lot of women were actually punished for that, shamed for that. But there's also our own conditioning, like our own experiences from the day that we were born. So we need to take a look at that and ask and say, okay, so why is there this guilt? Why am I feeling so guilty of wanting more, of desiring more, of receiving more? What is that? What is behind this energy, this feeling of guilt? Because guilt, when you look at the frequency, is very low frequency. Not a lot of things are going to happen. If you're navigating life feeling guilty and shameful, and you're desiring this, XYZ, it's going to be extremely, extremely difficult for you to actually call it into your reality, into your auric field, because you're not at the same frequency. Now I'm doing this because, we're very mind oriented and very visual creatures. So it's not necessarily up and down, like higher and lower, but you know what I'm talking about. It's like you are not on the same frequency. So whatever it is that you desire is residing. It's there for you, though. It is there. It's just that you need to let go of this guilt, of this shame, so that you can start rising up and you can become an energetic match to what it is that you desire, whether it's to start up a nonprofit. Maybe you want to start up a charity. Maybe you want to start an online business, a coaching business. Maybe you want to go into healing. Maybe you want to become a numerologist. Maybe you want to start a podcast. Maybe you want to open up an Etsy shop. Maybe you want to start, I don't know, homesteading. Maybe you want to live off grid. Right? There are so many things that are there for us. It's just we need to let go of the guilt. That is really the number one challenge that is stopping a lot of women from thriving in their purpose. It's the guilt. So we need to let that go. We need to let go of the guilt and to realize that this is just a conditioning. That the fact that you came here in this lifetime to experience this incredible duality that's happening right now and to share your own brand of magic, just the fact that you're here is enough to prove that you are worthy and deserving of receiving whatever it is that you want, of experiencing whatever it is that you want. There's so much magic out there for you, for all of us to tap into, but the guilt needs to go. And if you are curious, or if you're ready to take a deep dive into your numerical codes, into your blueprint, and to really take a deep dive into what it is that you came here to do, who you came here to be, like, what is your highest potential? What does that look like? Some of us don't even know. But through my readings, you will find out. If you want to learn more about your life themes, about your challenges, about your ancestral wounds and how to overcome them, then I'd love for you to reach out to me. You can find all of the links in the description, and you can reach out to me. You can send me an email. You can go to my IG account or my Facebook account. You can send me a DM. I am always there answering questions anyways, and we can have a conversation. I offer readings, I offer mentorship, and I also have some self-study master courses that are out of this world. Okay. You came here to create impact. You came here to experience your soul gifts. You came here to share your magic to all of us so that we can feel your magic, so that we can be transformed, so that we can be touched to the core by you. So I want to thank you for joining me. And if you have any questions, please write them in the comments. I would love to know so that I can respond back. And if you know anyone who you think would benefit from listening to this type of message, feel free to share my channel. I would appreciate it. Have yourself an incredible evening. I'm sending you all so much love and so much light. Ciao for now.